All right, hello, folks, and we are back here with Dungeon Crawler Carl, a lit RPG chat. This is book 4, The Gate of the Feral Gods, and I don't know about you, but this has been the wildest ride so far, the longest and wildest ride. Nick, how do you feel about this one?
I mean, it's just been twist over twist over twist over twist. I can't believe some of the stuff that happened in this book.
Yeah.
It's been crazy, crazy. Some of the probably the coolest moments so far in this book.
Hmm.
So I just hope it goes up from here. I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, yeah, and I like the setting here. I like the whole desert aspect. It definitely
Hmm.
wasn't as convoluted as the Iron Tangle, the previous one. Was way
Yeah,
better. I
yeah.
liked it.
I
Right.
yeah, it very much kind of reminds me. I guess I can't really say it reminds me of the first book, but more like structured. And like let's do this quest, gotta get to this one, got to go to the next thing. you know I like that. And like good story points,
Yeah, yeah.
like full on like this quest, the next quest kind of thing. And I really enjoy that in a book.
There were like a lot more high tension moments here, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like for example, like jumping out of the plane and like using a potion at the last second so you don't like go splat and just
Yeah.
instant zero. Stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah.
Or like when they end up in the ocean or at the bottom of the that lake or
Oh,
ocean or whatever that was fighting
the bottom of the bowl there, fighting that
yeah,
the big shark. This, what is it,
yeah.
what do they call it, octo
Sharktopus, the Sharktopus.
sharktopus? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, why don't we start at the beginning? So I have to mention something right off the top
Hmm.
here, Nick. Once again, I feel like this is every episode. Once again, you were right about Buddy getting another toe ring. Okay.
Yeah.
Carl got another toe ring. I feel like at this point you should write your own lit RPG, Nick. Like you got
Yeah,
these
I got
things down pat.
I'm seeing that I can see the future. I promise I haven't read the books before. This is my first
Yeah.
time going through the books, you know.
Mm.
So, but I could see through it. Let's see what's going on.
For the
I can
past
get in
3
his
books
mind.
now, I think. Like for the past 3 books now, it's been like right at the beginning, there's been that moment where I'm like, Nick was right again.
Hmm.
Nick
I mean,
predicted that again.
I wasn't right about the bow. She got a new crown instead of wearing some of the bows that she got. So there's
Yeah,
that. I'm not perfect, but
yeah. But you it's just funny because like, the way you think, you knew that, um, Mordecai would be like some little toad thing,
yeah.
and now you're right about Carl getting another toe ring,
Oh man.
and I think there was one other, I can't even remember. I don't even
I
remember anymore,
Yeah.
but
I forget something else. I
but you
was.
have you have enough experience
Mhm.
listening to lit RPG at this point, you've listened to so much, and I don't know, man. Would you
I can
ever
see
write
it.
your own?
I think so. I'd like to do
Yeah,
that at some point. You know,
that'd be awesome.
I really like that universe style of writing lit RPG. A little bit of video game from my past, and then you know being able to create your own story is pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
maybe I will in the future.
So this setting, yeah, like I said, it was like more of like a desert type setting. It gave me like
Hmm.
Mad Max vibes, like especially when they built their little
Oh yeah,
transport vehicle, you know.
yeah. What is it? Princess Donut's chariot or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
With big tracks on there. I could see that in my mind, especially how Jeff Hayes like describes the vehicle and just describes the things when he's explaining it. You can really kind of feel. I'm guessing that's mainly is how it's written as well by Matt Dinniman, but you know, you can really tell like if you can feel like you're there almost. See the dust clouds and see him speeding off with the guns on top.
Yeah.
It kind of like really sets the scene really well.
It was cool, the setting, and it was cool seeing Mordecai as his, oh, well, I guess he wasn't entirely his native race, but he was like
Yeah,
along the lines,
it's close
right?
enough, right? You could see
One of
that
those
he could
Sky Pal.
still, yeah, still like do potions and stuff, even though he's got wings instead of hands, and he's still doing that somehow. I don't know how, but
Yeah.
maybe his feet.
So right at the beginning there, we arrive at Humptown, and Carl is kind of shaken up by that camel dude for a blitz stick, and uh, Was it just me, or is this like feels like a more adult rated setting or book at least with the
You
setting and the characters, right?
definitely starts to lean towards that on this book. Like it's not really a book made for kids. It's got some adult
No.
themes for
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
definitely the, prostitute town. Not,
Mhm.
not some bedtime story for your kids.
Yeah.
You know, they're asking you what
Yeah.
the name for the bar and weird shit alley is. What is that about? What
Yeah.
does that mean?
Do you wanna start with the pacing or anything, or, like, the series of events? Where do you wanna begin here?
Well, I feel like the pacing itself, I mean,
Mhm.
the pacing for the book is starts off quite slow, and it does a whole bit just in their bubble. I think that's what they call it. There's like four areas,
Yep.
four terrains that they have to complete before they can get to their set of stairs. They spend a good portion of it in that first quadrant where it's just
Yeah.
in the desert and like talking to people in the hump town and getting to know these npcs and you know just beating the first boss basically of the area. And it feels like that was like maybe a third of the book was just that bit, and then things just pick up from there where it's just like get this done, get this done, get this done, race to the kind of finish line, even though it's probably spread out pretty decently
Yeah.
in the story timeline. They really dug deep, like really delved deep in the first part, and then you know gave you a lot of the world, of that part of the world, and that kind of like story, and made you feel for the npcs when they didn't
Yeah.
really do that for the rest of it. It was just kind of like, and we got to get this thing done real quick, we got lots of people to save. So
Yeah, the NPCs are playing a little bit of a more important role here, especially at the
hmm
end with the him saving I don't did he save a whole bunch of NPCs or
yeah, he saved a bunch of npcs and brought them down a level, as well as
they're being brought
one
down?
of
Yeah,
the
that's what I thought.
major NPCs he sent down to the ninth level.
Mm,
So at the very end, kind of like she kind of snuck in with the everything else that he sent there, which is a crazy bit. Which is the whole part of the first quadrant, and or most of the first quadrant was these whole timepieces and these watches and the watch and how they're able to connect to each other, as well as create portals.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Do you want to talk about that first, or is there anything
The
more you want to talk about Humptown first? You want to swap
the
back
gate
there?
of the feral gods, that's what that was,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's circle back to that. So,
Yeah.
I think one of the first events we see is the recap and
Yes.
like one of the craziest recaps we've seen so far. So we got Florin, the crocodile shotgun guy. He loses his girlfriend Fetchy from that recap. Pretty much the craziest recap we've gotten so far because we see
God,
Lucia Mar. We see what abilities she has. We see that she's hearing voices. She's kind of insane, hearing voices that aren't there.
really
But
seeing
here's the
how she's
deal.
losing it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
here's the deal. So was Maggie Mai. Remember when Maggie confronted Carl and she was kind of
Mm.
listening to she was kind of like talking to a voice that wasn't there. You remember the same thing? And
Oh.
it might have been the Borant, or it might
Or
have been the
no,
corporation or
the
some sort of sponsor
Alday
or corporation.
Corporation? No.
I don't know if it was the
They
Valte because the Valte is helping Carl. We know that.
kind
So it
of.
might have
They're
it
against
might be
Borant.
yeah, it might be the Borant that was talking to Maggie Mai. I'm not too sure.
Mm.
But that's my theory, that it's a corporation or some entity is talking to Lucia Mar. That's what I'm thinking,
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
right?
Hmm.
That's my
I thought it
theory.
might be part of her class that set her off.
Oh,
That
maybe.
because I know
Maybe.
that some people were really heavily affected by their class. I heard
Yeah.
that like they said that like Chris, was kind of affected that way, but it turns out he wasn't. But
Mhm.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of people who are kind of affected by their class a little bit, so that might be part of it as
Yeah,
well.
that's a
But
fair point. That's
you
a
never
fair point.
know. I don't know how if
Yeah.
she was crazy before. I mean, she was rolling through the dungeon. I think she had some kills already under her belt in the very beginning before she even got
Yeah.
her class.
You
So,
know what? There's 3 theories there. It could be a corporation, it could be
mm,
her class, or it just could just be her the way she was beforehand.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there because, the whole like Agatha, and she's kind of like crazy. All the crazy homeless people kind of seem
Hmm.
to have like some connections to the outside of the dungeon, and maybe
Yeah.
that's part of it too, you know.
Yes. Oh, and that just reminds me of the ending, but we won't even go there right now. We'll
Mm-hmm.
we'll circle back to that as well. So
Circle back.
so we get that crazy recap, and then
Mhm.
we meet Louis and Faraz, these two sidekick dudes who
Legends.
just yeah,
Florida
who help
man.
out. They help out in their way. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
Wait.
what's your take on Louis and Faraz in that whole scenario?
I mean, I just really want to see like a van. I didn't know if you see it was like a sprinter van or something like that. That is got the top off. I'd love to see that. Kind of seemed like he was one of those people who've given up that Carl meets a lot. He seems to like meet these guys that are like, I don't know what to do. I, how am I supposed to deal with my life now?
Yeah,
And
pretty sure Carl saved their ass.
oh, definitely. He's just
I don't
like,
think
no, no,
they wouldn't have made it off that level.
no chance. Same thing with
Yeah.
the archer guys. The other set of people he meets there is the car salesman from like Finland that
Mm.
that all became archers. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yep.
so
Yeah.
he just seems to like grab anybody he gets around. He's like, get to work. I'm gonna set this up right now. You're gonna level up. You're way behind. You want to survive this. You got to put some work in here.
Yeah.
So I dig that character that Carl is to kind of like get things done. It's pretty awesome. Oh my
This was
god.
an interesting setting because we got tons of changelings.
Can't really tell who's who,
Hmm.
which is kind of a big storyline that kind of goes through all the things with like the Valete Corporation being like brain worms, and there's a lot of worms. There's a lot of worms, man.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot more than we originally thought.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the game, you know,
In the game, outside the game,
and the game, outside the game.
just
Yeah.
worms everywhere, man. I didn't think there'd be so many worms in space,
A
but
lot of worm things
a
taken
lot of
taken over.
space worms. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like people who would like take over to change your body. There's changelings. There's
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
Katia is. What is she?
And by God, that was such a useful set of glasses that Donut
Oh
has now to
yeah.
be able to tell, right?
Mm-hmm.
If someone's a
Just
changeling or
everything,
something else.
that those glasses are pretty dope for her. Carl basically had to, in his bubble, just had to basically run the whole thing because anybody who was any good, it seemed like, was kind of like put on their own. They're like, okay,
Yes.
all the crawlers that are lagging behind, we'll give them easy bubbles. Anybody who's or like kind of crap, we're gonna shove them with like the best people to make them work. Sorry.
Make it a little more fair, yeah.
Yeah. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, you guys, they got saddled with like layabouts, and well, I mean, in most of their bubble, they did at least, so they're like, we gotta get this done. I feel real bad for the Tomb Raider guys, which
Mm,
is below. I guess they should kind of explain how the bubble works. Their bubble had the air portion, which is where they had to fight, where they had to get to the castle, which was the sky gnomes that had to fight in the sky.
right, yeah.
Um, the the water one, they had a submarine that the people had to
Mhm.
fight and beat, and I
Yep.
believe Chris beat that one. Chris is in his bubble,
Yes.
which is wild.
Yeah, you did.
Um, there was a land one where they had a sand castle with a wizard in it,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
they had the tomb, which is the underground, which was
Mhm.
full of traps, and it did not go super well for those guys.
Mhm.
Um, Unfortunately for them, because they had some very interesting character design for sure for the Tomb Raider characters,
Yeah.
trying to help them out, and that showed a lot of the darkness and really grit of this book sometimes. Like, it's a lot of fun and weird stuff happening, and whoopsie, but then also has the dark side, like that poor guy that was the trap guy, the I think he was like a half cleric, half rogue or something.
Mm,
That was had to do all the trap stuff, and that poor guy, she was shaking at the end of it. He was like, he had to detect the traps, and if he failed, somebody else would walk in front of him to test, make sure he got the traps, and if he didn't get them, they die, get
yeah.
injected with bugs.
I mean, it's just a hit after hit, and each book just gets better. The story's just
Mm,
getting better. The plot's progressing so nicely. Things are getting much more intricate, and things are going in places you wouldn't expect.
hmm
Very
You
interesting for a lit RPG.
really feel the emotion from the characters and stuff like that, and you
Yeah.
see growth in the characters, which
Yes,
is
growth.
not just in the main character, but in the side characters in Donut, and you see how they talk to each other is much different. They keep the same kind of line. It's not like everybody's falling over the main character and like making way for him. It's like, no, everybody else is growing just as much as Carl is growing, and that's kind of nice thing. You don't always see in a lot of lit RPGs. You often see like the one guy and he's doing everything, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's the best guy. He's got everything on lock. There might be some side characters, but they're always playing second fiddle. This is more
Mhm.
like, he's growing. Some of the other characters take the reins, and you know, he's got to step back at some points and be like, all right, well, you guys do this part, and I'll just twiddle my thumbs here or whatever, or I have to do this other thing, or I have to just be communicator and not be the guy in the front lines. And he struggles with that a little bit, but
Yeah.
he does mention that he does struggle with it. He's like used to like, where other people are doing things when I feel like I should be doing things, but I
Yeah.
can't. So,
It's funny. You mentioned character growth. That reminds me of one incredibly significant moment for me where I felt like, okay, this is absolutely going to be something that gets something that comes up maybe in the next book or later in the series because well, first of all, we had one of the most badass fights we've ever seen between
mm,
Carl and Quan, right? The guy with
yeah,
the celestial item,
it is.
but he gets
That
his
was
arm
amazing.
ripped off.
So metal.
That was so metal.
Yeah,
That
I
was awesome.
love that. The whole chase fight, and
Yeah.
just whatever, just keep the dog alive, the
It was about
hellhound
time.
alive.
It was
Yeah.
about time because that asshole going around, trying to when he
Mhm,
was trying to like kill the
mhm.
dog. Remember the giant god's dog?
Yeah, he's trying to, like, even before when he was destroying trains and screwing other people
Yeah.
over, they had to,
It's
Amani and their team, their trains stopped coming. They had to walk and like find
that's
other
right.
ways to
That's
get
right.
down and all this other stuff. And he's just like, as soon as he got that box, it's like dickhead mode activate. You
So
know.
I was happy seeing all
Mm,
that, and you you'd think that like that would be a normal reaction getting into a fight with Quan like that and maybe ripping off his arm because he's Carl's strong as heck now.
yeah.
So after that, when you got Donut, well, he just kind of collapses, right? And we
Mm.
get Donut coming up to him. This really heartfelt moment where she's like, Carl, I think you might be crazy, right? She actually
Yeah.
does that straight
I
up.
don't think you're just regular. You're not regular crazy. I think you're just insane like
Yeah,
everybody else. you
yeah.
know.
So after that moment, and with everything Carl Donut have been through so far, it's got me
hmm
thinking. It's got me thinking. And then especially at the end now with the introduction of Beatrice, right? It's got me
Mm.
thinking that
Got to be big.
I don't know how much more loyal Donut's gonna be with Carl,
Oh, you think this
you
is
know?
like she's like trying to take a step back?
I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know there's gonna
Mm.
be some kind of drama now because just from that one line, she's like, "Carl, I think you might actually be crazy, like really
Hmm.
crazy." Right? That
That's
just
fair.
that
I didn't think of it like that.
kinda
That's.
evoked something in me, so I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just me, maybe but that's what I got from it.
What do you think when
We'll
he's
see.
pulling the rings off the guy's arm though? And he's like, "Oh, one
Yeah.
there's a power ring, the specialty ring that gives
Mhm.
him abilities to track half killed bosses, and then the other ring that was like just a golden band, I guess from
Yeah.
before, that said uh the inscription was for daddy.
For daddy, yeah.
Which I'm like, at first, when I first heard that, I was like, like, all right, Jesus, how can this guy get any more, cringe? Now
Well,
I'm thinking it
yeah.
might be maybe from his daughter or something like that. Maybe it was a,
Yeah,
hey, I
it's
don't
an
know,
attempt to
weird
it's an
for a
attempt
ring, but
it's an attempt to get you to sympathize with that character, I'm guessing, because
maybe it
you
would
see
be,
he
but
has
it
a
kind of
daughter
sounds like
now.
maybe it's that. It kind of sounds sexual, like with four daddies. Kind of sounds,
Oh, you think so? Oh, you think so?
could be. I mean, the tone of the books
Keeping up with the
usually.
theme of the book, yes,
Yeah,
Humptown.
yeah. So I think either way, it might flip. I'm not sure which way it's going to go with that, but it kind of made it sound like how he was describing the ring, and it was like, you know,
Interesting.
poor daddy, kind of like,
Interesting, that's the take you took. Okay,
yeah,
I get
sure,
that with Humptown, the prostitution,
yeah,
all that. It makes sense with the theme of the book.
hmm
Kinda get you to hate him even more, I guess.
yeah. I guess, yeah,
Whereas
kind
in
of,
my mind, I'm
yeah,
like, is this an attempt to have us sympathize with Quan? Because if so, it failed. Like, he's still an asshole. I don't care.
yeah, no,
He's got a
not a
daughter.
chance. Oh,
He's still an asshole,
yeah.
you know? But it could be very well what you said.
God,
That's interesting. It's interesting how we come up with, like, we're just on totally different opposite ends of the spectrum sometimes. It's funny.
yeah. I mean, it's just you never know what's gonna happen next. Even if they say it a certain way, it could throw you and surprise you in a different way. So
Loida,
we're
getting
gonna talk
blown
about
up.
Loida, dude. That was and just everything from that, where they get their new sponsors. Because in this book, they get a second round of sponsors. They get more sponsors this
Right.
round.
Mhm.
Um, Carl gets an interesting company as well. That is like um, Pacifist LLC or something. And
Yes.
at first he's kind of worried, and then you give him a potato or yam or something like that,
Yeah.
lava yam. Um,
Mhm.
uh, and Donut gets a different sponsor that is a toy manufacturer,
Right.
and they have to deal with this toy that
Robot donut.
robot donut, and it keeps blowing up on them because they're not allowed to have. They didn't want to give them special treatment in the
Right.
dungeon. I don't know why. They don't want them to break it and steal parts from it or something.
Mhm.
Um, but they're not. Don't like Carl's not super happy with you know uh Borant, as especially Loida is not being super nice to them and has
Yeah.
taken over Zev's position, even though I mean they're the company that is running the crawl and is hurting all these people.
Yeah,
He
and then we
still kind
see
of has
how
some.
and we see the superiority there with Loida. I mean,
Mhm.
she's racist against
Yeah.
humans, or she thinks
Yeah.
they're all scum.
And
That was,
she's like, "Oh, we gotta right our generation," and very Nazi concentration camp kind of attitude. Like, "Oh, the younger generation, they care too much about people. We gotta, you know,
hmm,
change that." They had to sent Zev to a camp and did something to her mom and her aunt.
yeah, yeah.
So some dark stuff, but
See, that showed me my first, like, glimmer of hope in terms of the series overall, and how it's gonna end, on, like, if
mm,
it could end on a positive note. That is what showed me there, the whole fact of the younger generation being too nice, caring about people,
hmm
that showed me, like, "Oh, there is possibly, um, a
hope in the
hopeful end
universe.
to this." Yeah,
Hmm
hope at the end of the tunnel.
Basically, Carl's been like going through the anarchist cookbook, and you keep getting these snippets of people who wrote in the cookbook, including some really uh, very interesting characters that I think are definitely going to come up because one of the people, I think, comes up a little bit later, but he's like, they talk about what volume of the Anarchist Cookbook they were in. And this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but uh, in the second volume, it talks about this guy who's going to take the deal, and his name is Porthos.
Yeah.
Porthos is like, I'm taking the deal, but we'll get back at these people. I know I have 100. I have 100 of these, crawls before I'm out and can be in the universe, and you can live a lot longer in the universe. So eventually, I will take this back to them, and I will help, fix this. And then I think the LLC that Carl was sponsored by, I think the guy is Doctor Pu. So I think that might be Porthos.
Oh.
The second version of the Anarchist Cookbook author. And then
Mhm.
Carl was like, "I'm gonna take it from that, but I'm gonna, I want to. If I'm gonna strike back, I don't want to just take one person with me. I want to try to take as many as I can." And
Right.
you know, he killed uh uh
Killed
what's her name
Loida.
again? He killed Loida. So,
Yeah.
you know,
That was a hardcore.
that was pretty awesome where he just, and it's very much like Sherlock Holmes esque, like I did this and then this and this and just
Yeah.
quietly and sneakily, and so that nobody could figure this out. Look at how surprising events. How could I have done that? How could I have known that would have happened? You know,
Yeah. And then that
and
subsequent meeting with, that
yeah,
dude.
yeah, he's like the watchdog. I think he's from the Valde. I'm pretty sure, 'cause he was like a
So
worm in a
okay, so yeah,
cloud. Yeah.
he was a Valte, because
Mhm.
remember his hood came off for a second and they saw the worm.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But he's not really he's not like with the crawl people. He's not like on their side. They're just against Boren because Boren owed them money and they're gonna take over the Boren system, but they had to put that on pause so they could run their crawl and make money off of that to pay off their debt. But they just want to take over the Boren system. So
mhm,
they're not really on the Born side, but they're not really on the crawl side either. They're just like
yeah.
whatever we can do to screw this crawl over so that Born doesn't make a lot of money, you know, that kind of thing.
That was a super tense meeting, you didn't know what
Oh
was gonna
yeah,
happen to Carl there
no,
for a
and
second,
he
and
played it so well.
he did,
Don't talk,
he did.
don't talk to cops, right? Just like, hey, if they pull you in a room, means they don't got nothing on you. They're trying to talk to you. They
You
don't
have
want
to
to talk
sign
to you.
something, and he's like,
Yeah,
"Wait, why are they trying to get me to sign this? That
yeah.
doesn't make
They ever
sense."
try to never, take that? Cop tries to get you to sign something, never do it. They don't have anything
Mm,
on you. They're trying to get something out of him by doing that. Like, oh, Lucia Marr, she signed.
mhm,
Uh, nothing happened to her. You never know, right? So
yeah,
I don't even know if Lucia Marr signed anything or if that happened with Lucia Marr, if he was trying to like play him,
yeah.
but he did
We'll
it smart.
see,
It's like I
we'll
didn't
see,
do
but he
nothing.
is on
You got nothing.
yeah, he's on thin ice, though, now. He's definitely getting watched big time. But you know
He's
what?
on thin ice for more than one reason.
Yeah, but the crazy part is that happened, and now
mm,
at the end of the book, like, he's basically called everyone out. Like, he's
mm-hmm.
the whole spotlight's on him, and if I remember correctly, he's number 1 on the
Yep,
top 10 now,
he's
isn't he?
number one. He's got
Yeah,
a million times two on his bounty.
he's the top crawler in the game. All
Mm-hmm.
the attention is on him. All the whole spotlight. I love how at the end, before he goes down, he's like, what is he? Screams at the camera.
Yeah,
Like,
come at me.
he's
Just
yeah,
like
bring it.
if you could come find
Bring
me, actually, no, I'll go find you. I'm gonna kill every
yeah,
last one of you guys by the end
yeah.
of the sixth floor. It's like,
So badass, dude.
geez,
Oh my god.
I will break you. No, not they won't break me. I'll break you. I love that.
Yeah.
He does
Oh man.
a lot of that like crazy man screaming in this. Like same thing with the when he was fighting Quan CH. He went that's part of the thing is it kind of went nuts there where he's just like
Yeah. Mhm.
he's like you can't you can't do this, or whatever. He's like screaming, you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do this.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, you really
Yeah,
feel like,
I have a feeling he's gonna be a lot more unhinged in the next one. That'll be, like, one of the themes
oh yeah,
of that
something
book.
will set him off. Yeah.
Unhinged Carl. Just
Oh yeah.
just crazy Carl.
Unhinged Carl. Yeah. The
I
whole
hope he,
thing with Lloyd, though, it set him off like 5 days. They held him in
yeah,
prison
for 5
at
days.
5 days away. So then
When
Kadia
I
had
heard that,
to.
I'm like, "Holy crap, you missed 5 freaking days." Like,
I know. It's like they
it's
don't have
huge.
that many days. They're shortening it.
Yeah.
He's like, we gotta catch the fuck up. What the hell, man?
Yeah. I really hope he gets to face down Lucia Marr in the next one. I wanna see that. I wanna
Hmm.
see that.
So one
Man.
of the things I was gonna say for the end, but I want to bring up Donut's crown again.
Okay.
Because you remember in the first book, she gets the crown, you can't take it off,
Right.
otherwise it
Yep.
disappears, and she got to do like that on the ninth floor. She's got to be the crown of the serpents or something like that.
Mhm.
But it then gets really released back into the dungeon. Katya, who after well, Carl's gone, she's 5 days by herself. She does a bunch of stuff by herself. You know, she realizes that I've got to do some stuff for me. I've got to like go and save these other people that were part of my old team before I joined Carl. And Carl's got his own thing going on. And once you were with Carl, you're in his boat and you're gonna do what he needs to do. Uh, and she realizes, hey, I gotta not be with you guys in the next floor. I mean, I'll try to figure out some way with the guilds to stay with you guys, but I'm gonna have to do my own thing with Louis and Faraz and some of the other um, characters we meet, that she's going to go off with them and not be with Donut and Carl for the next floor. I'm kind of worried a little bit for her. I think that's kind of almost like a death flag or a red flag that she's going to go off and then something bad's going to be happen. Not because Carl's not there, but because it's the dungeon and people die all the time or something happens all the time. One of the
Yeah.
things that I think might happen is maybe she might get the crown too.
Hmm.
Because I was thinking that either Lucia Mar gets the crown that Donut had, and for the rules of the crown is, you have to kill everybody from that group, the serpents whatever
Yeah.
group, as well as anybody who's else is wearing the crown to claim the throne for that group on the ninth floor.
Mhm.
Um, so not only do they have to do that for Donut, but if somebody else picks it up, they have to kill that person, that crawler as well. So if Lucia Mar gets it, they have to. That might be the face off, ninth floor.
Right.
Kill the serpents and Lucia Mar. That might be when that happens, or maybe Katia gets it or something like that. She doesn't know, you know,
Hmm.
or somebody else like that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Katia facing a lot more danger in terms of because she's gonna rescue her friends and she might meet up with Ava again. Run into
Mm-hmm.
Ava because that'll be a big issue there for
That'll
sure.
be. I mean, we might have like a sidebars where it's like it's not just from Carl's point of view. We might get from Kadia's point of view, her own little bit in the book.
Right.
Like they might split off in the next one. That'd be cool as well. Kind of see
Hmm.
some of her story as well separately, which would
Yeah.
be interesting.
A little more POVs around the dungeon, not just following
Mm-hmm.
Carl and Donut.
Because
That'd be
like in
cool.
this one, they got all these different like biomes and all these other bubbles that we didn't really get to see, like the cactus biome and all this other stuff. Snow
Mhm.
biomes, and you never like it would be cool to see from somebody else's point that what other stuff is going on. Maybe that'd
Right.
be part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's get to a more humorous note in
Mm.
this book. So I think it was so funny where the AI basically got pissed off, threw a little tantrum at Carl for not
Mm.
killing things with his feet because it's
Yeah.
got that foot thing, right?
Oh yeah. Didn't kill enough gerbils with his feet. He's like,
So it
oh
just sends
man.
like a mass of gerbils at him,
Hmm.
and he's
So
like,
we can kind of
"Fine."
also figure out, like they always talk about, oh, don't screw with us or we'll like, accelerate you. And we have to figure
Right.
out what acceleration means, where they
Yeah.
just,
Hmm.
mob swam you. mob swarm you.
Yeah,
So, I guess you kick the bucket. But yeah,
I
he's just
guess.
got to pay the daddy tax,
Yeah.
And I think he's still got 5 of those balls in his inventory as well with the gerbils in them.
Oh,
You
does
think,
he? Okay.
yeah, so maybe he's gonna have to pay daddy tax later. He might have to be like, if they ever gets pissed off at him again.
That's so funny. He just keep some gerbils around and squish with your foot every now and then, just to please the AI.
Oh yeah, you want the AI on your side for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
quite interesting about all the lawsuit stuff as well
Yeah.
that we hear in this. Speaking of like the AI and stuff like that, the AI is like, yeah, I'm the first one to throw you under the bus. Don't, like they're suing us, buddy. I'm not on your side, but you still won. Good for you. I wonder exactly how badly he's gonna screw over, people in the later floors, or how far he can go. Because I think most crawls end by like the 12th floor or something like
Yeah.
that.
Mhm. Yeah, around there.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how actually far up it goes. Like if he
Yeah.
goes to the very end,
The final level, 18.
Yeah.
So there were a few boss battles in this.
Mm.
Um, there was I can't remember the very first one, but there was definitely one
Well, the
with
first one
Bonnie,
was
the little was that
the
the one with
goose.
Bonnie? Okay,
Is
that was the one with the goose. So,
Yeah, so that's
Bonnie, the
Bonnie's.
little gnome girl,
Mhm.
and we
And
see
then
her
yeah, her
dead dad, and
yeah,
Goose Denise.
Denise.
So
Yeah, yeah.
we gotta
Yeah.
kill Denise, and we can't use magic, and we can't even use physical attacks.
Mhm.
So what
She's
do you
an
do?
environmental boss,
Yes.
which is very interesting. And using the puns, lots of puns. Wild goose chase. Mongo gets hurt and Donut loses it, right? So kind of
Right.
like gets lost in the moment here, like, oh my god, Mongo's bleeding. I can't heal him. What do we do? What do we do? And Carl's like, we're falling out of the sky right now, Mongo's gonna be okay, but I need you to like be with us in this fight right now. Which is
Yeah.
like, I get, kind of like, when people like freak out in an event, like, hey, oh my god, there's a fire on the stove, and you're like, well, put it out. Don't just stay there,
Mhm, mhm.
Interesting in that way, and the writing the sign and lemonade with her dad's blood and stuff.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Ugh. The way they killed Denise was pretty brutal already, and
Oh,
then
it's
right?
hilarious.
Head in the garbage disposal. What was it?
Yeah.
I felt so bad for Bonnie, like, especially at the end when we see her crying, and
Mhm.
then that's when, Carl changes his mind to try that crazy thing that killed Loida,
Mhm.
right, and set that whole thing off, but
Oh,
it's
yeah,
because
he's
of
like, because
seeing
of that.
Bonnie crying.
Yeah. And Zev being like, "Oh, you're melodrama. We want melodrama, but not that kind of melodrama. Get it,
Loida,
pick it
yeah,
up."
yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, sorry, wait, not Zev, but like, oh, all right, yeah. Well, I don't feel bad about taking you out now.
Yeah, and then I know it's funny how Lloyd is trying to like sputter her racist stuff at the end there, like, "Oh, you're all gonna
Mhm.
die, and you're all scum, and this and that." He's like, "Nobody likes melodrama, Lloyd."
That was great. So you kind of get that like that vindication when that stuff happens. Like, oh, I feel, yeah,
Yeah,
taking it back.
that's right. Screw you, Lloyd.
Yeah, get fucked, fish face.
Die. Yeah. Anyways, okay.
Yeah.
And then the other one was the ooze, right?
Mm.
The guy
I
who's
mean, I
like
would.
made his ooze thing his wife or something.
Yeah, and well, the sex doll, and then the wife,
Right.
and that we have now. I forget about that.
Right.
Samantha is now
Mm.
in. I guess is in their party, or is at least is like kind of like a affiliate, like
Yeah.
Mordecai.
Yeah.
So
Did he put her in his inventory or where is she? How did she
she got shot out of his inventory when they like stopped the place from being glass. So um
Okay.
she's just a sex doll head, just chilling. Got kicked out of her inventory, so she's in their personal space now, and you know, sh- they kind of close the head, close the mouth, and
Yeah.
open the mouth.
Yeah.
Just,
It's funny. All she really says is, I will kill your mother."
mhm,
Ugh.
"I'll kill your mother." Yeah, I guess I think that battle, I mean, I guess it was important, but, it was, and introduces a new character that's probably gonna be really involved in the next, uh, um, book, but I don't know. That was like I found that one was like, "Alright, go through this, pace
Yeah,
through this one." Wasn't
yeah,
very long, but, most of the storyline that was kind of in there was kinda dealt with when Carl was away for 5 days, where they had to go through all the castle walls, and
right.
even Carl was, like, staring at their old, like, you know, wall destroying catapults and whatever. And it's like, oh, there's like bike parts and stuff. It's like, I just want to take all that stuff, shove
Yeah,
it in
yeah,
my look at all that useful junk. Oh man.
yeah, it
But
was interesting, the sand pit
yeah,
ooze or something, that kind of fight.
where he had to like drop down from the ceiling. He got a new special ability where he's got the
Yeah,
Spider-Man feet.
Spider-Man feet, yeah. I believe shortly after that, they get plummeted into the ocean where they
Water.
fight
Yeah.
the water, where they fight the Sharktopus.
They had to get Donut out of there because she cannot handle the water at all. And then they
Mhm,
go basically after that, they go right back into it. Carl has to go down into the ocean because, the water is flooding the the underground base, the necropolis or the tomb.
right. Yeah,
So then Carl has to go down there with Katia and the Tran, another friend of theirs,
right,
another crawler, and the plastic surgery guy. That was, I think, one of the better
right, right.
boss fights. I like
Yeah,
that when he uses a lot more creativity, where it's like, I'm gonna do this, and then this is gonna happen, and this item that he got like the last book ago or really early on is like, oh, don't use this potion ever, or do the bomb, and no, using his tactics, like kind of like put this over here, and this will do this, and then that'll do that, and
yeah,
we'll call this play, and all these things that I built over time come up and he uses. I love that.
yeah, there's a lot of planning that goes into that, it's pretty remarkable,
Yeah,
in
where he's
terms
just
of a
got all these
character
plays and
perspective
yeah, call it.
and, yeah, and a writing perspective. Very
Oh yeah. What did
interesting.
you think about that though? Like where they said they had the little baby sharktopuses coming in to go
Yeah.
attack.
That was another intense moment, like, this book
Mm.
is just filled with so many intense moments and gripping scenes and whatnot, you know? That's what
Hmm.
I'm saying, like, sure, yeah, it's the longest one, it's the most intense one by far, the series is just getting better and better.
I had no problem going reading the whole thing nonstop. You know,
Yeah, it's getting more
I went
intricate.
through it real fast.
Yeah.
But I that his shield ability is probably the most OP ability he has.
Protective shell, is it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
protective shell.
yeah.
The way he uses it, definitely not the way you're supposed to, I don't think. I think it's supposed to
Mm,
be more like a static shield you just put down and like hide behind, but he
right.
never uses it that way. It's always like he uses it when somebody's going real fast towards him or, you know, so like he's going really fast and he just lets it go and it flies behind him basically. I think that's
Mhm.
really cool how they kind of use something like that.
So,
Mm.
we get the Gate of the Pharaoh gods, and then we get introduced to some gods.
Oh
So
yeah.
we get Empress come out,
Mm.
and the dog, and like I said, that was a whole quest to get the dog back to Empress, and I love how after he receives that quest, automatically the AI right away gives a quest to everybody else to and like
Yeah.
the opposite for Carl, to hinder Carl, you know? Here,
Yeah. He's
Carl, you
just
have this quest now to save this dog. Okay, everybody else, you have this quest to slay this dog. It's just like a screw you to Carl.
100%. It's like, yeah, you guys will die. These two groups all these people will get smited and smoked or whatever. And if you don't, if the dog dies, but hey, if you guys want to fuck over your friends, we'll give you 5 extra levels and a pet monkey.
Yeah.
But it's like really kind of shows that it's like that the AI is not on Carl's side, even though he'll like, you know, if you do things I like, I'll be good to you. But
Yeah.
I'm still not your buddy. I'm not working with the crawlers at all. It's like I'm not on your side. I'm here for my own kicks.
Right.
And it felt like maybe he's like, oh, Carl's having too easy of a time, getting this dog to the god. Well, let's change that. Like, hey, this is not interesting enough because you're having too easy of a go of it. Easy of a go of it, but might
Right.
as well make it harder for you.
Yeah. Shake things up a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Cause some conflict here. Guys are working
Yeah.
too much. You guys are working too much together.
And then we got that whole spiel about how dangerous it is by Mordecai
Mm,
to, worship a god and deal with the gods, especially feral gods.
yep.
And
As
Carl
well
ends up
as
worshiping Ambrose.
yeah. Even in the cookbook, it says whatever you do, don't do this. Like, definitely do not go deal with gods. Does not go well for you at all. You'll get
Yeah.
smote. Not a good time. But
Mhm.
at least with the Pharaoh god is not a sponsored god. So I don't even think that his Ember is a Pharaoh god. He's just a regular god. And the Pharaoh, because he came because of when a Pharaoh god comes out, another god will come in,
Mm.
possibly come in to go and either have conflict with the Pharaoh god or whatever. It's not happy with the Pharaoh gods. In this case, you know, get his dog back or his son's dog back. But you know,
Yeah.
so it is a god. Tyrannus's younger brother, or something like that. I don't know too much about the lore of
Right.
the gods so far. Hasn't really
Yeah.
come it to be a big thing, but I'm sure it will in later
Mhm.
books.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
will for sure because Carl has that quest now from Embrus,
mm,
right? So he has to find out who killed Embrus's son,
hmm
and he has to kill Helic, which is the
Yes.
opposing god,
Yeah, his
I believe.
brother as well. His younger
Yeah,
brother?
I can't remember, but
One of the brothers.
yeah. So he's got these quests now from Embrus,
mm,
as well as paying, his toll, whatever that is, every morning. I think he's got a
5% of his gold that he gets,
right,
and
right,
then
right.
blood from his finger or something like that. He's got to give it blood and that. So,
Yeah,
I mean, as far as gods go, I mean, he didn't get the worst. He's not the worst off, but I
yeah.
mean, he's
Doesn't
got a
seem like it.
pretty big quest to do. I think he says one of them is he's got to kill Helis by the ninth or 12th floor and
Right.
tell him who killed his son find out who's killed his son by the 18th. Pretty wild though. It's going to be interesting, seeing because now because he's worshiping the god now. He gets access to the Vanquishers Club, which is
Oh,
the
right,
opposite club to the Desperado.
right.
So it's interesting to see what's going to happen with that. Um, I know the Prepotente, which is the goat person, with Miriam Dom, who's the goat like herder lady.
Right.
Um, they're like they were part of the Vanquisher Club, but I don't think
Mhm.
Prepotente is anymore. I think he got in trouble there when Miriam Dom got turned into a vampire. Some wild stuff is happening to the other crawlers.
Right, right. Hey,
hmm
so we didn't even touch on that scene yet with where Maggie and
Oh, you
Chris.
caught that. You caught that, eh? I was gonna say. I was gonna wonder if you caught
Yeah,
the references there at the end.
Chris and Maggie
hmm
caught run into Carl,
hmm
and that whole when we find out that it's Maggie's in there and stuff.
Oh my god, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And they're just like, what do I do? Chris is like, kill me.
I thought he was actually like when Carl was about to kill him, I'm like,
mm,
okay, this is it. And then
yeah,
Donut drops him
you're not a
and
killer, Carl.
yeah.
And it's true at this point. He still hasn't killed anybody. Not, I mean, it hasn't actually been him to kill somebody. Even you know.
Mhm.
So, but wild story. Maggie Myers going ballistic. Like in the beginning, he's like, I got to kill you because you killed, you know, my daughter, basically, even though she killed her daughter. But like because of
Yeah.
you, my daughter died,
Mhm.
and she killed her ex-husband, and this and that. Try to get over it, And it seemed like after Donut like puts her in a dungeon, like basically sends her down to the ground and gets her stuck, that at the very end she's like, I'm over it. I don't care anymore. You know, I just got to do
Hmm.
this so that I don't have to see my other daughter again, who was collected or like killed by this system when it first came in and all the buildings sank down into the ground. Her other daughter,
Right.
daughter got taken that way.
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't want to ever see her again. So I gotta, I wanted to save her, but I know I'm not gonna be saved, so
Yeah.
I don't want to have to fight her later.
Yeah. And I
Uh,
might be mistaken, but
mm,
well, from what I said earlier, when Maggie, because we know Maggie was talking to someone.
mhm.
Was it Prepotente? Because didn't Prepotente
So there's the whole
tell
thing at
her
the
to
very end there where she talked about this goat that was, part of the Vanquishers Club or something like that, or like that told her to go and uh, that was kind of like basically, I
pushing her
guess,
to kill
pushing
him,
her to
right? Like,
to kill
yeah,
him. Yeah,
encouraging her.
yeah. That
Yeah.
she met somewhere that's like, oh, you gotta kill her, and that's the help that she's getting. She's getting help
Yeah.
from outside the
Right.
dungeon through this person, and I guess even the
Huh.
AI was trying to get her to stop talking about it. Like, hey, you're like taking away. This is not information that he can get. You can't give this information out. The world doesn't need to know about this. And eventually cut her voice off. And she wasn't able to talk about it anymore. And then that's when they fought.
But that was
And
Prepotente,
Carl was
right?
able.
That
I
that was
think you're. I think it's Prepotente, but it could also be Bianca. And I think that's a hell spawn something, demon spawn goat or something like that. Which I mean, demons talking in your ear. Maybe that's what it is, or it could be Prepotente because he's like, "I'll kill you in your sleep," all that stuff to everybody.
yeah. I remember distinctly hearing something about Prepotente near the end and how he was
Hmm.
encouraging, I think, Maggie
Yeah, I don't.
to kill Carl.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it was exactly Prepotente, but if it was Prepotente, it wouldn't be surprising to me. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was surprising to hear that he was doing that, but something, one of those goats is doing something.
Your
I'm telling
favorite
you.
character, is he not?
I know my favorite character. Yeah,
He just got a big boost in
yeah.
page. I guess we'll see a lot more of him. I'm
I
thinking.
hope so. I hope we see some more of him. The way that Jeff Hayes does his character is just too funny.
What
Mm.
absolute crazy ending.
Oh
We
yeah.
we go back to Earth
Oh
because
yes. Hmm.
Earth is
I mean, they're on
it's not
Earth.
destroyed or anything. I mean,
No.
it's like an apocalypse, so there are still people alive on Earth,
Oh yeah.
and Beatrice is one of them.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And
But she's not where they thought she was. She had flown back. She's in
right,
Seattle.
right, right,
Hmm.
right, right. And it's funny seeing like this whole illegal hunting. We get like a little more look into the outside world and how even all these like illegal, under the behind the curtain things are happening.
Yeah.
So you're not supposed to like bring anyone back from Earth, right? Earth people are
Yeah.
supposed to, like, you're not supposed to touch them.
Yeah.
But we
That's
got these
part of the
illegal
rules.
hunters.
Hmm.
Yeah, we get these illegal hunters now trying to pick up Beatrice,
Yep.
right? And then they get saved. And who do they
Hmm.
get saved from? Um, Pretty much Audette.
Odette. Yeah. But
Gets
it's like
saved by
they
Audette.
weren't even looking for her. She's like, "Well, that she's not even supposed to be here. We're looking for Ferdinand or whatever. We're looking for."
Right, because Audette thinks Beatrice would be useful as well, and I'm sure
I
they're
don't know.
they're
Is
gonna
is it?
hunt down Ferdinand,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I I don't know. Is that's the other thing? Is Audette grabbing Beatrice because she's trying to help Carl out, or is it gonna be like she wants the bounty on her, or
Hmm.
where is Beatrice going to come and become involved in this? And how is that going to shake up the Donut Carl situation? You know?
Yeah, so my theory is that it seems like Audette's been helping Carl and Donut this whole
Hmm.
time because she wants them on the show, right?
Try to warn him
We
about
we
Chris.
Yeah, we've gotten
Mm-hmm.
all these little hints here and there. So it seems like they're trying to help. So
Mm.
whatever reason they took Beatrice and Ferdinand, I think it's for their good, like, to help Carl and Donut. I'm not too sure how that would really work
Mm.
because it seemed like the illegal hunters were coming down to get Beatrice. Maybe they were from the Borant, where I don't know. I
Basically,
can't remember
they're
where they were
like,
from.
yeah, they're just like they're kind of like freelance, but they go and work for these companies. They have bounties on people who haven't walked on, right? They
Right.
haven't gone into the dungeon, and they haven't been collected or killed by the buildings coming down. So they're
Right.
like, these characters are available, or these people are, weren't killed by the buildings, and they weren't,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
they didn't go down the stairs. If you could find them and bring them to us, maybe they'll get like bounties because they want to maybe bring them in for later floors or something like that. There was another tidbit
Yeah.
that one that people were looking for Beatrice. They were looking for Graveboat or Ferdinand, and they were looking for that girl's dad in the southern hemisphere.
Mm.
So Lucia Mar's dad, she's Brazilian or something,
Oh. Okay.
and then uh, also that dead guy's that dead person's twin. So who would be the big character who would be a twin? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe Hecla's twin, dead
Oh
crawler. Who
wow.
would be a big dead crawler? Who's like some of the bigger dead crawlers? I mean,
That's a good point. I didn't
that was
even.
probably, yeah, that's probably the bigger one. I think. I mean, that's a pretty big hint. I think,
Yeah.
they kind of like threw that in the side. Oh, that person, that dead crawler's twin. So somebody's coming back.
Audette is a force, man. Like she's gonna be prominent in this, I think.
Is she gonna hold it against Carl? Is she just gonna tell Donut, or is she just gonna tell Carl she has this Beatrice? You know,
Yeah.
is this gonna be like, oh, they come on the show and they're like, here you go. Oh, big surprise, Beatrice is here. What's the drama gonna happen? Or, is she gonna be like, you
Yeah.
better do this in the show, or,
Maybe she just
um,
brought her on for the show, just for show purposes, maybe. Who knows?
who knows? But is she gonna be able to do that? Because that's illegal, right? To take her off the planet, to
Yeah.
show her.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's a little tweezer that like a little twister there. I'm excited. That was such a
Yeah.
great drop at the end of that, and I
Yeah.
bet you anything we're not going to hear anything or see anything about her till the end of the next book, and like just really hold it.
Yeah.
Hey, I remember this bit. I'm going to
Yeah.
hold this to the end, or at least
I
midway
knew
through the book or something.
yeah. I knew immediately that her douchebag boyfriend was gonna get slain right there.
Oh yeah.
As soon as he starts saying, I am the
Oh,
king. I
I'm a
am the
king.
king.
Oh, just was like, we want you to hate this person.
Like, all right. Finally gets slayed.
Just stare in the mirror, like, yeah, look at me, I'm a
I am
king.
the
I'm a
king.
king. Oh,
Ridiculous.
yeah. Oh, geez.
But that is, I think that's it. That's all I can really come up with to chat
The only
about.
thing I gotta say is, what do you think about the ninth floor? I mean, we kind of glazed over it a bit because you know
Hmm.
they were supposed to send in a feral god to the ninth floor to screw over the orcs, and they were going to release a feral god to go smash things up in on the ninth floor. And they got sued a bunch to like, oh, we don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen. At least
Hmm.
some of the people didn't want that to happen. Other people did. They're like, screw those guys.
Yeah.
But then that's not what Carl and Katia did. They were talking to each other in the bathroom, leaving notes for each other in the bathroom,
Right.
and then they swapped the gate of the feral gods between each other. And Carl had a fake one that he was tricking Maggie Mai with. The real one was at the bottom of the ocean, and they flooded the ninth floor. He was gonna send in, um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
They flooded the ninth floor. See,
they,
that kind of skipped my head too.
yeah, it was
I don't even
massive,
know.
man.
I guess I'm not thinking that far ahead because right now I'm thinking about the sixth level, which is what they're gonna go into next. And um, I think there was some dilemma now as to the people coming into the 6th floor, you know, the
Mhm.
volunteers or the people who are gonna pay to join and who's gonna outfit them because
Yep.
there's no more merchants or something of the sort?
That's because he flooded the ninth floor and killed all the NPCs.
Okay.
He flooded them and sent bombs through there and sharks that are in a frenzy. He sent them
Right.
all to the ninth floor and just killed everybody on the lower floor, killed all the NPCs, killed all the people who are working at the uh, Desperado Club or any of those things. He just wiped the floor with the whole map, killed all the NPCs, and they're not allowed to bring new NPCs in. It's part of the rules of the crawl that they can't do that. Um, and so now everybody who was all those people that were coming from outside the crawl into the crawl to like that they go into the crawl early onto those floors and like they practice and level up and for when the crawlers come they're all loaded up with like items and skills and levels. Now that he's just flooded the floor, they can't get any of their items to like level up their troops for the war that's going to happen on that floor. Completely wiped
Okay.
it. So now
Okay.
that they're going to send, now all those factions are going to have to send people to the 6th floor to collect items because before they were able to buy items from the crawlers on the 6th floor,
Mhm.
by selling it on the market. Now there's nobody on the market to buy those items. They
Right.
have to go to the 6th floor. So now all these factions are going to have to send people to the 6th floor
Hmm.
because he's flooded the ninth floor where they were going to buy all the items from people and have all these
Right.
gambling and leveling up. And now he can't do that anymore. And on the 6th
Interesting.
floor, they can kill people who come in from.
Right.
So that's the other
Right.
thing. Like that's why Carl's like, "You come, I'll come find you. I'm gonna kill you all before the end of the floor." It's gonna be interesting. I'm kind of excited to see what these subclasses are. What kind of subclass is Donut gonna get? Because their class kind of as a what is it? A child actor
Right.
constantly changes. Is there going to be something with that?
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot coming. Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
a lot
A lot to
coming.
be
I want to
excited.
see how.
A lot to be excited for.
Yeah. I will end things here. Thank you everybody for tuning into this, and we will be back with book 5 very soon.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll end her there. I'll
Right
see you
on.
next time.
See you next time.